Hello and welcome to the World Languages Festival Judges Orientation. This is just going to be a really quick overview of some of the important things that you will need to know for judging this event. First of all, we wanted to just say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. We could not do this event without you and the students of Seminole County Public Schools who are learning world languages appreciate you giving up your Saturday to be able to assist them. We hope this is an enjoyable experience for you as well as the students. Some of the details to start out, if you could please be at Lake Howell High School by 7:15 on Saturday the 25th. You're going to go to the cafeteria to check in. There will be a table there and they will direct you to the judges room. We'll have a continental breakfast there for you, and Mrs. Cardona, the director of ESOL World Languages, will give you a short welcome and orientation. If you have any questions before that, however, please don't hesitate to contact me, Michelle Ola, at scps.k12.fl.us. The opening ceremony will start promptly at 8. We'd like the judges to all be there so we can introduce you. You will be given a voucher to purchase your lunch. We have 3 trucks, food trucks that will be there, and you can go to any one of the trucks to use your voucher. The entire voucher needs to be spent at one food truck, but it is quite a variety of food that you'll have a choice from. All of the judging events should be finished, if all goes well, before lunchtime. So you should have time to collect yourself, have some lunch, and then we invite you back to the entertainment section, the closing ceremony, which should begin approximately 1 o'clock. The students from ASL, German, French, Spanish, and Japanese will all be performing during this. The entertainment is always exceptional, and I'm sure you will enjoy it if you're able to be with us. And then after that, after the entertainment, then we hand out the awards to the students. The whole event should be concluded by 2:30 if all goes well. What are the events that you may be judging? You'll be asked, there are 3 academic events: the impromptu, declamation, and skits. The impromptu, we're going to go through all of these individually, but those are the 3 events. Most judges will do all 3, will judge all 3 unless you're told otherwise. So the first event is the impromptu. In this event, although the students have had all of the prompts ahead of time, they will spontaneously prepare their speech in front of the judges. It shouldn't be memorized. Their phrases might be memorized, but they shouldn't have the whole speech memorized. The topics will vary by the different levels of proficiency. So there are different topics for level 1, level 2, level 3. The contestants will draw out of a stack of cards. They'll draw 3 topics, and then they get to look them over and choose the one they're the most comfortable with and select one of those to prepare for their speaking. We want to give them a few minutes for them to kind of prepare what they're going to say and compose themselves, and then they will present their topic without any notes. The maximum time limits, you'll be given those. It varies by each level, and that information will be in your judge's information kit on the day of the festival. For the declamation, students have memorized a poem or a passage which coincides with his or her ability level in the language. So students should be giving the judges a copy of the passage or the poem that he's going to do before hand it to you as they do it. If they don't have it, please allow them to give their poem or their speech also, but they should hand you a copy. And the contestant will be judged according to their pronunciation, their accuracy, their pacing, the fluency, all of their expressions, their dramatization, the flow, how well prepared they are, given that they are nervous and that this is maybe their first time doing this, but how their overall presentation is. They can use props and costumes, and many students do, but they are not required. So keep that in mind when you're judging the overall presentation and appeal. They are not required to have costumes or props. Lastly, you have the skits. The students will perform a skit in the target language. Some of the skits may have been created by the students themselves, so keep that in mind while you're judging them. Others are an actual play or a skit that may be done by someone in the target language. there should be at least 2 participants. There's 1 presentation per school per language permitted. The duration, again, it should be approximately 3 to 5 minutes, and their setup time and takedown time should be at a minimum. We want to move this along as best we can. Same thing, the judging will be according to the fluency, pronunciation, their dramatization of it, how well prepared they are, and then overall. Again, they may use costumes and props, but they are not required. There are various levels for the impromptu speaking. So for level 1, typically that means they've had 1 year of language study. Level 2, they've had 2 years, etc. When they get up into level 4, 5, and 6, it's various levels of usually a year 4 or year 5 if the schools have them, or advanced placement, language or literature. The levels are also separated into native and non-native speakers. So keep that in mind when you're judging. They will be listed whether they are a native speaker or a non-native speaker. So keep that in mind, that a first year level 1 native speaker would not be judged at the same level of pronunciation or etc. as a non-native. The scoring, this is what it's going to look like. All of the events are scored on a 10-point scale as shown below, with 1, 2, and 3 being fair, 4, 5, and 6 being good, 7 and 8 excellent, and 9 and 10 superior. The trophies will be awarded. There is a superior trophy, an excellent trophy, and then good and fair get ribbons. Students should be scored on their proficiency level. So when you're looking at excellent, that means an excellent for the level that they are at as far as learning. So we're going to go over that really quick. So what are the performance expectations for each level? So for level 1, this is typical for non-native speakers. What can a level 1 learner do? So level 1 learners present simple basic information on familiar topics. So these are things that they have studied in their classes by producing individual words, lists, notes, and formulatic language expressions that have been highly practiced. So these, you may hear the same phrases in each of the questions or over and over again. That's very normal for this level. They produce memorized language that's appropriate to the context. So they're not really making things up on their own and using the language very creatively necessarily. It's going to be a lot of formulas that they're going to use. They have limited language control, which means they will make mistakes. Their pronunciation and their grammar will not be perfect. But if you're sympathetic to having learned a language, you're going to understand them. It will be understood if you're very sympathetic to language learners. They're going to produce words and phrases that have been highly practiced. Lots of words, the same words kind of over and over you're going to see. So with limited sort of vocabulary. That's a typical level 1 sort of language learner, just so you kind of know what to expect. Level 2, they can start expressing their own thoughts and present information and personal preferences on things that they've still studied, but with a little more freedom and creativity with using their own language and not as memorized. It's primarily going to be in the present tense. There may be other tenses, but it's not going to be as good, essentially, as understandable. Their control of the language is sufficient that even if you're used to listening to people who are learning a language, they will be understood. So you don't have to try really hard. You should be able to understand what they're saying, even with errors. They're going to produce words and phrases, so a little bit more longer sentences that may be connected. They're going to have series of sentences that are looking more, not quite a paragraph, but it's not a list or just a few short sentences. So they're going to be a little bit more in depth than that. And they're going to have a wider range of vocabulary topics that they can talk about. Level 3, 4, and 5, they are basically now putting things into almost a paragraph form. So they're going to have descriptions and narrations in almost all of the major time frames, present, past, future, on familiar and some unfamiliar topics. Of course, in level 4 and 5, they're going to use more time frames than in level 3. So in level 3, they may do the present and the past tense, and in the the other time frame, in the other levels, they may have more control and be able to speak more fully over a wider range. They're going to be understood even if you are not accustomed to listening to students who are learning another language or seeing students that are learning another language for ASL. They are going to be understood by pretty much everybody, even with some errors. They're going to be understood. And then they have a much wider range of things that they should be able to talk about, including not just about themselves, but about public policies, community interests, study areas of study and interest and expertise. So they're going to have much, much more that they can say. That is the basic overall sort of performance levels. You will be looking at your grading each or judging each of the students individually without consulting with the other judge, and then your scores will be averaged to get the overall score of the student. If you have any questions about performance level or what the expectations are, please do not hesitate to contact me. My contact information will be in the email that accompanies this video. Thank you again for helping us with this event. We appreciate it, and the students of Seminole County appreciate it.